Good to see you. My first questions are just from PMQs as well yesterday, but you must regret now this sort of anti-Trump sentiment that was allowed to build up within your party in recent years.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of things that have been said over the years, but not just here in the UK, including in the US. I mean, if you look at what Vice President-elect J.D. Vance said about President Trump, he mused whether this was going to be another Richard Nixon or America's Hitler. And he's obviously now, it's not held him back from being the running mate. Elon Musk as well advised Trump to walk off into the sunset a couple of years ago, and he's become President Trump's biggest backer in business. So I think a number of things have been said over the years, but the truth is the alliance between Britain and the United States is long and deep and enduring. And with the new president being elected and with a new government in the UK, quite unusually in terms of the time cycles, we now have a set next 4 years where it's clear who the government in both countries will be. And we're looking forward to working with the new president and building on that enduring alliance.
I get that, but I mean, do you not, though, regret some of the things that have been said and allowed to build up? Your head of operations, Sophia Patel, of course, encouraged party members to campaign for his opponent, so much so he called it election interfering. Wes Streeting called him an odious, sad little man. Angela Rayner in 2020 said she was happy to see the back of him. And of course, most famously, your top diplomat, who's got to build strong relations, David Lammy, said he was a woman-hating, neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath. Had your time again? Do you wish these things hadn't been said?
Look, I don't think any of these things will interfere in what is, such an important alliance for the world based on defence, security, shared values, shared history. It's all more important than all of those things. And that is the footing we begin on, and that's the footing that we'll continue on. And, the Prime Minister not only spoke to President-elect Trump last night, they had dinner together in the States a few weeks ago, a good, productive dinner. President-elect Trump is a fan of the United Kingdom. His mother came from Scotland, as you may know. I think in the end, those shared values and interests are more important than some tweet from however many years ago.
I mean, that's great to hear, and it's good to hear that the phone call went well yesterday. I guess if you don't regret that the comments were made in the first place, I guess the flip is interesting to hear what you view, which is it quite big and commendable of Donald Trump to forgive or forget that these comments were made in the past? If the tone of the call suggests that, the tone of the dinner with David Lammy suggests that?
I think these are positive recent signs. Look, I don't want to repeat the point, but if President-elect Trump chose not to speak to everybody who'd said something about him in the past, you wouldn't have the Vice President-elect that you have. You wouldn't have the...
Which I totally get, but I mean...
I think he can look past these things. And the important thing, I was expecting you to read all these things out this morning. Of course, that's to be expected. But the important thing is, the really important thing looking forward is, in the world today, this alliance between the United Kingdom and the United States is really important for the world. It's really important for us as a country. And I want your viewers to be absolutely clear where the new British Labour government stands. And that is as a friend and ally of America. And that will be enduring in the next few years with the new president. But
and my final question on this, I guess, is just to come back to that point. Is it quite amazing that he is that forgiving, that he is, I guess, thick-skinned or whatever word you want to say? I mean, it's not just to say Republicans sometimes prefer Tories or vice versa, or I disagree with this policy. Would you be immediately forgiving if someone called you a woman-hating, neo-Nazi, sympathising sociopath? That's not a normal run-of-the-mill political insult.
I think in the end, the relationship between the two countries is just much deeper than stuff like that. And
you would forgive someone if they said something like that?
I would always know, whatever position I adopted. I'm fortunate enough to have a position in the British government. And one thing I know as a cabinet member in the British government is that the friendship between the United States and the United Kingdom is really important. It's beneficial for both countries, and it's in our national interest to maintain it. And that's what I want to do.
And Karen Pierce is having her term extended?
Karen Pierce is our ambassador in the United States at the moment. She is doing an excellent job. She's got the full confidence of the British government, and we want her to keep on doing the job that she's doing. And I think she's going to be a very important interlocutor and advisor for the UK government in this period of transition.
So, but is her term extended at least for the calendar year 25?
I can't say exactly when her term will end. She's been doing it for a few years, but she's there for the moment. She'll be there for a while, and she's doing an absolutely fantastic job for our country.
Do you now expect a more isolationist United States in a way that will be damaging to the British economy, or is the sort of talk and the hype around that going to be worse than the reality?
I think you've got to understand that in an election, a lot of fiery things are said. And President-elect Trump says a lot of fiery things. And the important thing is what he actually does. We obviously have interests as a trading nation. We want to protect and look after our interests. And we'll always want to have a dialogue with the US administration about those. But for anyone speculating about what exactly will happen, I would advise let's wait to see what he actually does rather than take everything said in a campaign literally.
I'm not sure how long the call was with the Prime Minister last night. Did Ukraine get mentioned at all?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it was more a congratulations on your win call. We've just been through an election campaign a few months ago here, so we know how stressful these things can be. And there's always a relief if you get to the end of it.
Is that top of the agenda, though, for the Prime Minister?
It's very important. It's very important. We back Ukraine in its fight to decide its own destiny, in its fight against Russian aggression. And in the budget last week, the Chancellor reiterated the support and the aid that the UK gives to Ukraine. That hasn't changed with the election result in the United States. We want to back Ukraine. We want to back Ukraine fully in the fight that they're having, because it's also in our interests, in our defence and security interests, for Russian aggression not to go unanswered in that way.
The deal with the Chagos Islands, is that 100% done and dusted?
Yes, I believe it is. It's something that the last government got to about 95% of the way there. I think they had 11 rounds of negotiation on this. And it's important in that deal that we've secured the use of the base there for a long time to come.
Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, Pat McFadden, thanks so much for joining us.